Hello and welcome. My name is Tom. This is the Enthusiasm Project Season 3, Episode 2. And today I am joined in studio, quote unquote, by my lovely wife, Heather, who you know many times. Hi, Heather.
Who you know many times.
Who you know from being on the podcast many times. And people question whether or not I edit this. Clearly I don't. So today, I am very excited for this. Heather and I were having a discussion just on our own as we do at home. And it was one of those things where as we were starting to get into our discussion, we thought, ooh, this might be something worth recording. And so we set up the podcast stuff and set up an episode for a podcast. And I think that I think it'll be a very helpful discussion. It's one I'm interested in. I don't know that we'll necessarily reach a resolution. But if you've listened for a while, you know Heather and you know a bit of her personality and her background and her story. And, go back and check out all the episodes with Heather and learn more about her if you haven't already. But this is a chance to kind of go on more of a journey of discovery. So essentially, I haven't said it clearly because I don't know exactly how to form it, but season 2 of this podcast was all about like business and kind of documenting Heather and I starting our business. Season 3, I'm sort of shifting. I don't know exactly what I want like the theme of this group of episodes to be, but I really want it to focus around the idea of creativity and making stuff. And I love the idea of you could listen to one of these episodes and then feel like, now I want to go make a thing. Now I want to go do something. Now I should do or do a better job at the thing that I'm making or whatever. And that would kind of be the goal. I think today's discussion will be a perfect example of that. And I think it's something that all of us have felt at one point or another. And I think it will be really helpful to you. So before I just keep going on and on and on, Heather, would you mind giving us any kind of context for where we're at, where you've been, where we're going, all that stuff?
I thought you were going to do this.
I mean, I'm more than happy to, but I just don't want to talk over my guest.
Well, what do you think the topic is? Like what's the theme?
Well, I don't know if there's a theme, but essentially where we're at is you have been on YouTube for 4 years?
Yes.
4 years. And you have 2 YouTube channels.
Yes.
You have one channel that's very like structured tutorials, really good for like people who are starting their channel, especially if they want to start a channel for their business, promote themselves, entrepreneurs. And it's very, very focused. And then you have, which was your original channel, more of a vlog personal channel.
Yes.
And you cross the 10,000 subscriber mark on your vlog channel. And you have something like 450 videos.
Yes.
And you've been doing it for 4 years. But you've kind of been struggling in the past few months of like, what do I do with this channel? What do I post? Do I want to do something? Do I want to not? And now our discussion this morning was you sort of digging into, I really want to like kickstart this channel, but I'm not sure what the approach is. You had mentioned using it as a creative outlet that will kind of like spark creativity in other areas. So even though it's not necessarily like business related, it would leak like that's a terrible term, but it would bleed over into your, like the business side of things and just sort of be like a creative engine that drives things forward. But finding the approach, we're kind of stuck. You were talking about not wanting to make videos just for the sake of making videos, but you want to say something, don't know what. This kind of the idea, which I felt was important because the way you described how you feel right now is how I felt for like the 6 years before I started my YouTube channel, where I was like, wow, YouTube is cool. I wish I could have a YouTube channel. And then just like feeling like I want to do something. I want to make something. I don't know what it would be. I don't know what I would say. The interesting thing is that you have already done it. And now we're kind of talking about like a potential shift or reevaluation or whatever. And there's baggage that comes with having an existing audience. So I think that's about as concise as I can lay the groundwork. And I think that anybody who has created anything online can relate because you have to deal with what is the idea originally. And then as time goes on, do you want to shift it? Does it need to shift? Do you shift? How do you deal with that? Now you've kind of got an audience. What do you do about that? And there's just all these questions that pop up that are interesting to dive through. So that's why I said I don't know that we're going to like find a solution, but we're just kind of continuing we wanted to sort of pause, contextualize, bring you in the conversation, and then sort of continue where we were.
Right. So if any of this sounds remotely familiar or similar to what you're feeling, this is kind of why we wanted to record it, because I feel like it's normal. It's a normal conversation to feel, especially if you're creating content, to share with people online. But the thing is, it's always good to have this conversation with somebody else, because, I was kind of already having this conversation in my mind, and then like every 2 minutes I would shout something out at Tom, and then it became a conversation that led to more organic conclusions. And then that's when I was like, okay, maybe we should record this because I think it's worth sharing. That being said, I'm still very much in the, trying to process how I feel about it all. So I'm a little hesitant to be on here. Like, I asked Tom, like, are you sure you want this? Because, I don't know where we're going to end up or how we're going to get there. I'm still kind of trying to talk out how I feel. So
I think that there's value in that. So I think that kind of, that level of being candid is really important. Especially, I just think that's really important. And I think that's super relatable. And I want to dive into a discussion. So essentially, I want this to be a conversation that happens to be recorded.
Right. And we'll go there. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Yeah. So the other preface is, like, I'm a YouTube coach and consultant.
Yes.
I do this for other people. And that's
kind of where the conflict comes.
Right. Well, okay. So I just want to paint the picture, knowing that I've been through this. Like you said, I've done this for years. I've done this for other people. I realize the mindset that I'm in. I know the advice that I would tell someone else is just make something, just create more. Like, I get that. But I think what I'm feeling it's not, I don't want to say it's new, because I know I go through this in phases as well, but whatever conclusion I've reached in the past is obviously not working for this thing. So yeah, like, I don't know. I guess the first thing that I would say is, like, what are the certainties? Okay. And then we can debate everything else. And the certainty, the certainty for sure. Like, number one is I love helping people share their stories on YouTube.
Okay.
That's, like, non-debatable. I still want to do that for my business. That has nothing to do with my personal channel, but it does,
right.
That's what I want to do for a living. I love doing it. So and historically on my channel, that's what I've been documenting.
Yeah. Well, you've also been very adamant. I didn't mean to interrupt you just now, but about not just being the YouTube coach who's going to tell you how to get 1 million views and grow your thing. But then it's like, well, what are you making? But you're a YouTube coach, and then they can literally go see you doing the things that you're coaching them to do. Right.
Because I felt like, my vlog channel was the most effective tool to be the butt kicker for people who wanted to start their own thing. It's like, I would say, hey, either they would see one of my videos and be like, oh, I want to make something like that. And they would try, and then I could be like, hey, I also do consulting, I do trainings, I have classes, I have courses, blah, blah, blah. Or the other way around. Like, I already know I want to start a YouTube channel. You have a course. I found that. Oh, cool. Let me see what you've done. Let me check out your vlog channel. So, that's always going to be there. But in terms of my vlog channel, I'm not really sure. I think I don't know, the top of the snowball hill, I guess, that kind of like where this all tumbles down. It starts with, I used to document the journey of starting a business. There's really not much to document at this point. And I don't want to say the same thing. I'm not interested in figuring out how to make it exciting anymore. I'm tired of setting goals and then not meet. It's not that I guess I don't meet them. Yeah, sure. Not meeting them, or not,
like, there's a directional shift that just takes
I just
place.
feel like it's not that interesting. Like, who cares if your freaking sales goal is $5,000 or whatever it is? Like, I'm not that excited to share that anymore. It was cool when I first did it,
right?
When I was doing something new and there was that, like, this is Heather venturing into unknown territory. But now that it's like, this is, this is just how it's done.
Yeah. I was just thinking, for some reason, the thing that popped into my head was after I got my driver's license, the first time I went to the grocery store in the car by myself. And it was like a harrowing experience to go 2.5 miles to the store. And like, that would have been something worth filming.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas now I've driven to the grocery store 10,000 times.
Exactly. That's the perfect way to put it.
It's not that the thing itself has changed, but the context around it has changed. And
I think I started recognizing this. So see, okay, now I'm like brain farting and word barfing at the same time.
Okay.
But like, I started recognizing this when, it's been a while since we've seen people.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And whenever I do, it's not that we physically see them, but when, someone texts me or calls me or we catch up, aside from my brother, because my brother and I talk pretty much every day, everyone else is like, oh, so how have you been?
Mm-hmm.
The first thing I say isn't about business. Like, I don't,
right.
It's like, that's not the most exciting news that I have to share. And to me, like, that's, if I'm not excited to share it with my people that I care about, then why am I going to go expend creative energy to put it in a vlog? Right. And I don't, I have no hesitations with doing something completely different. I understand that, creative outlets shift and all of that. I'm fully willing to accept that. I think right now it's, it's more about like, I don't know where to shift it towards. Of course, I could say, let's do a 30-day upload challenge. Let's just make whatever. Let's, just make a video. It's just a matter of picking up the camera. But I don't think it is. I think...
Because that was going to be one of my things. It's like, okay, when we talk about just create more...
Right.
Like, you said that was a message to yourself. Like, Heather, just create more.
I think that... I think that is still so true. And I 100% believe that. If what's holding you back is fear, like, maybe like fear of, are you good enough to be making this content? Mm-hmm. Maybe fear of, do you look okay on camera? Or, maybe you're still exploring. So you have to experiment. You have to do trial and error to figure out your style. I know my style. I have the confidence.
Right.
I know what to say. I have no fear, but it's like, what is the thing that only I can create that I'm excited about that is worth sharing? Because there's so many things. Like, here's a new thing that is new as of us, because there isn't us. Before, it was like everything was worth sharing because everything was so new and like I was discovering this whole thing. But there's a lot of things that are quote unquote worth sharing, but they're only worth sharing with you. I don't necessarily have to like go out and make a video about it.
Right. Right.
And I think like this is a new
shift.
It's a new approach of my life, because before it was like, if it was exciting, you gotta make a video because that's cool. Like, don't you want to remember that? But sometimes it's exciting that I just want to talk to Tom about it, and that's it. Like, okay, I just read my first manga.
Mm-hmm.
It's called The Promised Neverland.
It's great. I'm getting the middle of it.
100% have to read it and watch the anime and the whole thing. Yeah, okay. Now, I'm not going to go make a video about it. I thought about it.
Right.
Because I was like, I haven't been excited. Like, it's very... I recognize when I'm very genuinely excited about something. This is something like I wish I could tell the world about. I don't know if I want to make a video about that. Just from a YouTube, like, experienced YouTube perspective. Like, I don't think, okay, my channel's about entrepreneurship and vlogs, and now I want to make a video about manga, which is like, of course, like, I'm sure I've thought about it. I could tie it in. I could talk about storytelling and formats of media and,
But you sound so excited to do that.
Yeah, but it's just like, I don't know if I feel like I really want to make a video about it, or is it because I feel obligated to make a video about it? And at this point, I feel like it's an obligation. So I guess what I'm trying to achieve, what I feel like is missing is an overall direction.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think it needs to be like
our puppy is dreaming on the floor, so if you hear weird sounds.
I don't know. It's not like, I guess it's like a new mission. Sure. I think my mission will always be, you know, educating and empowering people to utilize digital media to achieve meaningful goals. But like, I don't know.
So,
do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
I mean, I'm trying to remember what we talked about this morning, because you were saying like before you knew that this was going to be a good video, so you would go out of your way to go make that video because you knew.
Yeah.
And then the vice versa of that, or like the other side of that would be you live your life and the video's along for the ride.
Yeah. So what I was talking about was yesterday. I don't know when you're listening to this podcast, but just yesterday, Matty Hapoya uploaded a video where he was talking. He used to have an office with Peter McKinnon. If you're in the YouTube world, photo video world, they're pretty big names. Matty to me has always seemed like such a genuinely nice guy, and I've found that his personal vlog, he sort of is the opposite of most people, where his personal vlogs are more interesting than his like regular channel content. He does a lot of photo reviews and tech reviews, and he's like good at them, but he's so much more interesting when he's just doing vlogs. And he kind of did that last summer a bit, and they were like really good and really enjoyable. And he's sort of been going back and forth, which he admitted that he was like, I don't know. He's a channel with almost 1 million subscribers, and he said he didn't really know. Like, is it a vlog channel? Is it a gear channel? It's in this like weird middle ground, and a lot of people are saying vlogging is dead. Blah blah blah. And so he was talking to Peter McKinnon in a video yesterday where he said he used to do his vlogs where he would think, I need to make a video. What is something I can make a video about? Which personally, when I was doing like 30-day upload challenge, when I was starting my channel, that is how I approached it. Was okay, you know, this weekend I'm going to go to this place, or this thing is coming in the mail, or something that's kind of like a centerpiece. You know, it's visual, it's interesting. This is what the video is going to be about. And in Maddie's video, he said that he got kind of tired of that, and it was getting drained, and so he decided that he wanted to live his life, do the things he wanted to do, and the camera would just kind of come along for the ride. And it shifted his perspective because it made things easier, less stressful, more sustainable for him, and a lot more fun, and it kind of reinvigorated him. But this morning, you said you kind of thought you might need to go in the opposite direction because that's what you had been doing for so long.
Yeah, like I never had to seek out you know, video content. I definitely searched for the angles, you know.
Right.
But,
well, you have to, yeah.
Yeah, but I never like I you know, I went to VidCon because I wanted to go to VidCon. I didn't go to VidCon because I thought it would make good content.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same with Iceland and whatever. Every video, you know, I made a video about ADHD because I wanted to, not because I thought, you know, it would be click worthy or whatever. But I like you said, I guess like I said, maybe it's not seeking out, you know, oh my God, for the gram, for the vlog, but it's more of like, I'm very curious about the format that you have, where it's like you have a topic so far in advance that you can take the time for something to breathe and think about, okay, if I'm going to make that video, what needs to be in it? You know, and whether that's you go to a situation, you go to, you know, you find it, or you create it in your room with like, I'm going to use this piece of equipment and film it this way. I've never done that. I've never, you know, with tutorials, yeah, but that's like teaching. So it's different to me. But like, I don't know. It's like,
so like if I'm doing a drone video, then I know, okay, we're going to need to go somewhere where we can fly this. Or for, you know, like I did the Canon M50 EOS R comparison. We went to like an art thing, and I was like, perfect art. It's outdoors. It's visual. It's engaging. I want to bring the cameras and do the camera comparison while we're at this art thing.
Yeah. Whereas I brought my cameras that day too.
Right.
And to me, it's like, we're at this art thing. This is what we're looking at. This is what we're looking at. Now we're going to in and out and like, you know, end of day.
Yeah. Just like a journal.
Yeah. And I know I could do that. I know if I did a 30-day upload challenge, it would just be that, and they would be great. But I feel like I'm not excited about that right now. It would be more about proving to myself that I could do it, that I could do the challenge, more than about like this like creative endeavor.
I'm not trying to push you into an upload challenge, but the last point I'll bring up, just to put the point out there, is, do you think that maybe if you did like a 10-day tackle, which in and of itself, I'm trying to do 10 videos in 10 days, that's a story, that's a centerpiece right there. Do you think that just kind of going through that, and even if they are just videos about whatever, that it might kind of dust off some of the like creative energy and get kind of the gears going, where on day 11 you'll be like, got it, now I have more of a direction? Or would it just not do anything? I'm just asking.
Yeah, I think it would.
Okay.
I think it would dust off whatever, and I'm sure, I'm sure it'd put me back into the rhythm of things.
Because what we were talking about,
I'm also thinking, okay, so I don't want to overthink.
Right.
Okay. But I also am struggling with this thing with my channel where I don't want it to be a dumpster of just like, make whatever, Heather.
Yes.
Just to prove to yourself that you can. And, here's a, like, okay, no offense to you, and I'm not taking offense to this, but I hate my channel being described as a channel of home movies. I don't like that. I know that's what it is, but that's what makes me sad. Like, I don't want it to just be like...
Wasn't there a time though where that's kind of how you described it?
I'm pretty sure I did that after you did. Because I was like, oh, okay, let me explore this like home movie thing.
I thought I only did it because you did it. I don't know.
And then I was like, oh, but home movie has such a like, not stigma, but there's like, when you think home movie, you're thinking... There's
a level of quality that's not there. What I meant, just to clarify when I said that, was you're documenting this stuff, and looking back, it's cool to go check it out. There's the first time we met in person on camera.
I know what you meant.
And that video wasn't about us. I mean, it kind of was about us meeting. It was about you exploring a media program. It happened to include our meeting for the first time.
Here's the thing. I don't want my channel to be known as that. I don't want it to be described as that. And if it is being described as that by my husband, that's fine. But what can I do to change it to be described as the thing I actually want it to be described as? What is that thing that I want it to be described as? I don't know.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to explore. I know I'm capable of documenting these really cool moments in our lives. Mm-hmm. I think that's worth sharing. And I think that with our podcast, The Couples Table, we've really hit a stride where it's easy for us.
Nice plug.
Where it's easy for us to talk about, to share us. Because I really think that, topic wise, I think we are a story worth sharing. I've always believed that since day one, even before we were a thing, an item, and I think that I've struggled with, how do I document our relationship? Because not just for selfish reasons, I want to keep these memories, but like, how do we were brought together because of this medium, and I want to continue creating content together. And I feel like the Couples Table is the perfect balance of like, we're still creating content. It's easy for us. It's not something that we have to drag our feet on. Check. Okay. So that's
right.
That. Now that takes out a big part of what I felt like I was trying to document on our channel, which was like, okay, what are Tom and I doing now? Like, okay, we got the wedding. We did the wedding reception, we did the engagement, like all that. But like, I don't want to just film every day. Just like I don't want to be a family vlogger, or do I? I don't know. I don't
know. That's what I can say.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. And the thing that I think was really important that you brought up this morning before we started the podcast recording was, we were talking about when we first met, and like the day we met, you were literally filming when we met. You got out of the car, you were holding your camera, and we went out to eat that night, barely getting to know each other, and you're like, hang on, I gotta like do a time lapse here, I need to set up a shot here. And it was not obligatory, it was because it was so exciting.
I wanted to do it.
Yes.
It was like, oh my God, I miss.
And that kickstarted it for me, where I was like, I want to have my camera and like film. Like, I remember being, my best friend Andy, who you've still never met, but I promise he exists. Anytime I say my friends and I used to make movies as a kid, I'm talking about my best friend Andy. When we were kids, wherever we would go, he would have his 8mm video camera. I'd have my 8mm video camera, and we would just fill up our tape the whole day. I don't really know what we were filming, but it was so fun. I guess we were vlogging, but it was so much fun to just be doing that. And that was how I felt that day when you were like filming your vlog for the day. And I was like, gosh, it's so like, I don't know, visceral in a way. It's just so engaging. It's so fun. And then I, grabbed my camera and I spent, I did 40 videos kind of doing that because it was so fun. And this morning you talked about you loved doing that because you would make the video and you would be so excited about it that you couldn't wait for people to see it. And
I was so excited to share it.
And wanting to get that feeling instead of just like, well, I made a video and I'm proud that I made a video, but like I'm not psyched for the video.
Like lately, and this does not include our, our wedding and all of that, but for the last few videos, I felt like, like you'll even ask me, so how did you finish the video? And I'm like, yeah, whatever, what's up? And you're like, you didn't even show me here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like that feeling
it's
of just
different.
Like I don't really care. It's not that I don't care about it, but like I don't check on it. I don't check on how it's doing. I'm just like, okay, what? It's like I finished it. That's the reward. That's the satisfaction, and that's just not enough for me.
Well, I think that's. I mean, I think that says a lot.
What I crave is like I want that same feeling of like, I'm so excited to tell this story, but like I don't know what you have for your channel. What you have for your channel, Tom sneezed. But he muted himself.
I did, so I don't know if you heard it or not.
But what you have for your channel where I don't know.
The enthusiasm I project.
I think it's, what it is? Okay. So this is so ironic because I know people who feel trapped by their niche.
Mm-hmm.
You are not one of those people.
No.
But I think that's what I like. That's what I want. Is like you have the enthusiasm, you have the excitement, but you're niche. So it's like you have boundaries. Yeah,
boundaries are like one of the best things for creativity.
I don't have any freaking
You need boundaries, babe.
Man. It's just everything. Everything.
Well,
it's so like I'm gonna make a video about manga now, just because I can.
Yeah.
Like, now it's just all over the place. And now and when I start thinking about that, then I'm just like, okay, homie, you're the branding expert. You're the marketing expert.
Right.
Like, this is all wrong. And yeah, you can make it because you can make it, but like,
we're beyond that.
Yeah, like. Is that what my channel is now? My channel is the home movie dumpster where you just make a movie about make a video about whatever. Like, why isn't that?
Right.
I don't want it to be. I don't want it to be that. I want it to be like, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
I see what you're saying. So this is interesting because just last summer, I was thinking about like, man, it was so fun when I would take my little like Sony point and shoot camera and run around and just sort of film everything. And I do kind of miss that. And I know like, this was the end of last summer. And so I kind of like took an old YouTube account, sort of started a channel, and I made like a little vlog of like the end of summer. Nobody has watched it because nobody even knows it exists. But it was there, and I was like, okay, let's see. I had fun making this while I was kind of like setting up my classroom. It took me, I don't know, under an hour to edit. It's kind of fun. I enjoyed it a lot. You were really encouraging of it. I liked it. And you always say like, oh, I really love your vlogs when you used to do that kind of stuff. And I was like, So last night, just coincidentally, I went and rewatched that video and I was like, this is pretty good, but I'm not actually that interested in it. I definitely didn't have the urge of, I want to do more of this. And what I thought, which is why I haven't made another video on that random second channel since last year, is because if I'm going to spend time making a video, editing a video, I want it to be on my channel, which is the channel that I love and I care about and I'm trying to grow. And I would like to find ways to fit things in. So if I want to, do more like out and about kind of stuff, I would love to find a way to make that work within the boundaries of like the niche and the channel and what people are expecting. And I think that I've seen it with my students and I've talked about it before. Whenever I've given an assignment where it's, I think it's the coolest thing as a teacher. You guys can do whatever you want. Like, oh my God, we have all these resources, total creative freedom, no rules. Like, how cool is that? It always fails. It never does well with the students. As soon as I say, you can do whatever you want, but it needs to be under a minute long, or it needs to have this, this, and this. Like, as soon as I give just little constraints, then the really good work starts coming out.
And let's like give a disclaimer here, because, you know, I think the reason why my channel has become what it is because I don't know why, but in my head, I was able, because I have 2 channels. One of them is the serious one, the business one, the niche one, the, you know, do all of the, you know, all of the best practices.
You could check off the boxes.
Yeah, with my tutorial channel, and there's a community there of other YouTube creators who, you know, are aspiring and working on their channels, and they all have that in common, and, you know, it's all good. But my vlog channel, I think because I was just like, oh, because that's the business one, that's the serious one. For this one, it doesn't need to be serious. It could be whatever it wants. And now it's just the home movie dumpster.
So looking at all possibilities, why would you not want, not why would you not, but would you not want to just double down on like the tutorial channel and use that as your boundaries?
I don't know. I've never even thought about that. That's so interesting.
I know that your other channel is the bigger channel. Like,
yeah,
you know.
But I don't care about size.
Okay, so then if that's not the issue, because the question like I asked you this morning was, if you started a brand new channel, click sign up, 0 subscribers, and you say you don't have like the feeling of being limited, but if you really, there's no expectations, no anything, like, is there something you would be excited to start a channel about? And you kind of said like, I don't know. But you know, like what you just said, sounds like you kind of enjoy the tutorial thing. And I know before you had that channel, you used to do those kinds of videos on your main channel where it'd be like, hey, here's how to film video on your phone. Here's, you know, it would be tutorials and things mixed in with vlogs and whatnot. And then you separated them because, which makes sense. Someone who's starting their business, starting a YouTube channel, and they sign up for your thing on like how I can use Canva to make simple graphics or how I can do an end screen. They're not going to want to see like our new puppy pop up in their feed. And that makes sense. So I don't know. The way you described it, it would sound like you enjoy the tutorial channel more. I don't know if that's, I don't know.
I mean, I've never thought of that. So I think I need to sit with that one.
Okay.
Like, I have thoughts racing. I was like, oh, that's an interesting, I think because in my mind, it's been so vividly separated that I never even thought to.
We spent so much time. I don't know how many times we had the discussion. Does this go on the main channel or does this go on that channel? And I have enjoyed not having to have that discussion. Not because, but it was just such a point of contention of like, do I separate? Do I do? What's the purpose? And this, that, and the other. And then you kind of did hit a point because you're like, this is.
Well, maybe, you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe, because the reason why it was so, okay, see, now I feel so bad. So my tutorial channel is like the serious one. I haven't touched it in like months.
I know, but everything on there's evergreen. So
so it's still getting traffic, still getting new subscribers.
And it has a pretty substantial library of videos. So it doesn't need daily uploads.
I uploaded twice a week for 6 months.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud of what's on there right now.
Yeah, it's wildly consistent.
But I stopped.
Everything is helpful.
But I stopped.
Yes.
That's just the fact.
Okay.
But I'm wondering if I added my strengths that I feel like I have with my vlog channel, you know, the personal touch, the authenticity, whatever, that the creativity,
DIY.
into a niche topic, what would that look like? I've never even thought about doing that.
Really?
No, because it's like, how the hell are you going to talk about how to make an end screen in Canva? You open up Canva and you do a screen share. Like,
but
I never even thought like, okay, how do we make this more exciting? I approached it more of like, let's deliver the info and get the library up.
Of course. Well, yeah, and that's what you needed to do when you're building it. But I mean, that's what you tell me all the time. That's what we've even talked about on this podcast.
No, see, this is why you can't coach yourself, my friends.
You can't just pay yourself.
Yeah, this is the takeaway. You cannot coach yourself. I love doing this for other people. every business coach has a business coach.
And well, because
This is why.
Yeah, you just need to run through the things. But I mean, that's to go back to like things we've talked about before. The photo, camera, video niche is very crowded with white dudes in their 30s talking about photo, video gear. But you were the one that helped me go like, no, but you have your thing is a little bit different, and you have like a slightly, it offers something the others don't. And then I try to put that in every video and make sure like, okay, I don't want, if I'm going to do a review on this microphone, I don't want to go watch 5 other reviews and see how to approach it. I want to just do, if I've never seen a mic review video, like what are some questions I would have? What are some things I would include? How would I film that? How would I, and I might be reinventing the wheel in a couple ways, but it's also like.
But that's what makes it exciting for you as a creator.
Exactly. It makes this thing that would kind of otherwise be dry and boring, creative and fun for me. And then I think that's what gives it the final result a slightly different flavor, is because it just has a slightly different flavor to it. So, I mean, I don't think you've done fun, and you know what? On your tutorial channel, you've done these fun things. Like, I think it was the watermark, how to do a YouTube watermark video. Yeah. So that video starts
it's like with one of my most popular videos.
It's a great video to do when your YouTube video plays. There's a little watermark in the corner, and the video starts with you. It's like you on screen going, hey, do you want to know how to make a watermark like this? But then it's the YouTube like player window interface. And it's like the camera's kind of slowly pulling out, and we see like it's the YouTube page, and your video is talking and pointing to the thing. It's very interactive. And I remember when you made that, you were so excited to show me that.
I was so excited.
And that kind of thing, that's important, because that's what I've tried to do in all my videos. And then it's one thing, at least one thing where I'm like, you need, like, look at this, look at this intro, look at this shot, look at this joke.
Like, there's so many tutorials where I'm like, it's just whatever.
Yeah. So what if?
Like, I even tell Tom, like, you don't need to watch this one.
I know.
It's just me explaining the same thing you already know.
Which, of course, I'm going to be like, I want to watch your video and I want to see it. It's always better than you say, but that's definitely not a great sales pitch. Like, well, I could do something else for 14 minutes, I guess. But it would be great. Like that idea of, there were times when I'd be at work and you would text me and go like, I did something really cool. Like, I can't wait to show you when you get home. And then I would be like, for the last 2 hours of the day or whatever, like, oh, I'm like, what is it? I'm so excited. Like, can't wait to see it. And that's very different than like, wait, I just got a notification that a video was uploaded.
Yeah, I don't even tell
Tom.
It's just up. I check off the to-do list. I did it.
So, I mean, that opens sort of a Pandora's box of questions.
Okay, so I think it's a lead.
I think there's a lead. I think bare minimum, having boundaries is important, and approaching a niche with your personal strengths is important.
Yes, those are 2 takeaways so far.
My biggest question is, if you're like, cool, that's what I'm going to do. Are you done with your other channel?
That's my question too. I mean, at the very least, it's the couple stable.
Right.
That's what's on there.
Yeah.
And I think I don't think, I've already in my head been shifting it from an entrepreneur channel to, I don't want to say family channel, but
yeah, that has a bad stigma.
So I'm not going to say that, but it's a me and you channel. That's what it is. And I mean,
well, okay, here's another question.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not we're not going to have kids. We got fur babies, but but it's like our life.
Yeah. But
there's never going to be a video without you. I don't think. I mean, there can be, but
yeah. So here's kind of the question that I have as far as that channel goes, or maybe an approach to it. One of the channels that you and I have been watching religiously lately is Vlog After College.
Yes.
Which is, I don't know how many videos he has, but basically
600.
Yeah.
Something.
Started years ago in like 2014, 15, around like, I don't know, maybe even older than that. And basically a guy who graduated college, like, business from Stanford, and was just kind of like trying to create something that's all about like how to get your life kickstarted after college, because no one really talks about that. Everyone talks about how to get into college. And he's just an interesting guy. He's super friendly. He's got a lot of hobbies and, multi-talented. And then about 6 years ago, he got a corgi puppy. And that kind of took over his channel.
And now that's the channel.
Yeah, it's him and his corgi, and they do a video a week. And it's, even in quarantine time for the past few months, it's been like they can't leave the apartment really, and they live in an apartment, so there's not even like a backyard to film in. And, there's little segments. Okay, here's, dog segment, here's meal prep, here's exercise, here's, cleaning the fish tank, here's like prepping merchandise or whatever. And it's all like, it's very it has a very like DIY feel to it, almost like the feeling of an old Casey video where it everything feels accessible, everything feels relatable. And I know, like, having watched a lot of those videos, that it gives me that same feeling of like, I want to just like go
Make
film a
this
thing.
stuff, yeah.
And you said you kind of had that feeling too.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's, I don't know. I guess the point is like there's a lot, even after watching hundreds of videos, there's a lot I don't know about him. Ryan, the guy that like runs the channel, because, he's selective about what he puts in the videos. You don't see his whole life, but it is also, sometimes like a whole video will be the day in the apartment, and it's still engaging and interesting and fun. He's got a structure, so every video is going to have, this little part and that little part and over here. So there are these boundaries, and it's not like...
Yeah, I don't have that.
But
I don't even have boundaries on the vlog. It's just like the day goes and just record it as it's going.
Yeah. But I've seen you get excited watching those videos. Is that like... I don't know. Is that a source of inspiration? Is that something like... I don't know. I'm just putting it out there that I've seen you get excited. I've seen you you don't watch YouTube videos that often. I've seen you watch many of those videos. So right there tells me there's something engaging and interesting. And I know you can't watch something without analyzing it and like breaking it down. So I know you're having the thoughts of like, how's he doing this? How could I do this? How could I incorporate it?
Tom knows me.
Yes, just a little bit. So I don't know if there's anything you've gleaned from that might be helpful in an approach to a personal channel or whatever you want to do. I like the idea of you making videos. I don't care what channel it goes on. I like the idea that you're making something you're really excited for and you can't wait to share it. You can't wait to show me. And like,
I mean, I think I'm still, so the other takeaways we talked about are still there. And I never even thought about, the tutorial channel and putting that spin on it. I think I'm still on a quest to figure out what's up with the vlog channel.
Yeah, I think,
and I think maybe it's just vlogs. Maybe it is just vlogs, but I need a statement. Like there's something missing. Like this is what the vlog's about. Until you can describe it in a different way where it's not the home movie channel. And even if it was like home movies about this,
mm-hmm.
it needs to be beyond. It's just her life. Like, so what? Yeah.
I mean, what's the thing we go back to all the time is, and I struggle with it on my channel a lot, was I always think of when I'm describing a channel to somebody else, and I know I just kind of did it with Vlog After College. I went a little more in depth, but if I'm just talking to someone and I go like, oh, have you ever seen this channel? And they go, no. And I go, oh, it's this person that does blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And you like, if somebody's really into your channel that they're going to tell their friends about it, they're probably going to spend one or two relatively short sentences describing it to their friend. What would they say about your channel? And for me, I noticed on mine for the longest time, it was like, yeah, Tom's channel, it's like this channel about like sometimes, like there was no real way to describe it.
And that's how mine is.
Yeah. And so working to get it, like, have you seen, yeah, he does like camera reviews and like video production stuff to help make better videos, but it's like fun and quirky.
Right. And even if it's not like what I set out to do, mm-hmm. as long as how everyone describes it is consistent, right. That's what matters.
And in a way that you're okay with.
Well, of course, yeah. But I mean, like Vlog After College is supposed to be about something, and it's about Gatsby the corgi, which is fine. Like I'm sure he's okay with. That's why he's still making those videos. But I don't know what. Like maybe I just here's what I think needs to happen. I think I need to just put a stake in the sand and be like, these are the vlogs about Heather and Tom, or something like that.
But are you sound so excited about that.
I am.
I mean, I know you like making those videos, but it's like even that. Okay, so even the vlogs of Heather and Tom could be like, you did one video that was like a typical day in quarantine. And I thought that video came out great. And that was a month. This quarantine's gone on forever now. I don't know. That was like 8 years ago you made that video. And I thought that was interesting because it was literally like, this is our routine. This is taking care of the dog, getting work done, like trying, just living without being able to be a part of the world, essentially. And, you know, that has a purpose. It has a clear story built into it.
I have to plan those in advance.
Yeah. So, I mean, if it's just like Heather and Tom videos, like, is it, you know, like I know the feeling of you make a video and it is just like you said, like, well, I've recorded all day. I've got this mountain of footage. I don't really know what it's about. Like, I guess I could put music to it. And it's just kind of like, why? Like, why?
Right. And I don't want to do that.
Yeah. So I think something more, I think there needs to be multiple stakes, maybe 4 stakes to support a roof. I don't know, but like something that's a little more structured. So that way you can bounce off and like live within that structure.
Sure.
That's my opinion. I don't know. You don't have to agree. Because otherwise I don't see progress happening. I just see it being the same thing.
But I've never... So putting a stake in the sand is like looking through the lens. I've never looked through the lens. And I know it's obvious. That's what it's been, Heather and Tom. But I haven't officially like put the lens on the eye and like looked at it that way. Okay, so if it is Heather and Tom and that's the only stake that's there... That makes sense to me if I'm coming up with the idea of like, let's let Heather look through Tom's closet of cameras and gear and like, what's her reaction? Like, let her describe it. There's the couples table, you know, like that maybe there is a secondary.
It reframes things.
Yeah. Maybe there's a secondary stake in the sand, but like, I know it's so obvious, but I needed in my head, put the stake in the sand for it to snap into focus. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then now it's like, okay, so is there a second layer to this? What would that look like? In a way, because I'll tell you right now, I'm way more excited about making Heather and Tom content than Heather content.
But you do this thing, which I know you very well, but I still have a very hard time reading this, which is when you get excited about something, it goes one of 2 ways. It either goes like giddy, where it's anyone in the world could tell you're excited about it. Or it does what maybe just happened, which is you kind of look really intense. The whole time you were talking, I was like, I don't think she's actually excited about this idea. I don't want her to talk her into something she's not excited about. But the things you were saying and the way you were saying them was also making me think maybe she's excited about it and now she's in the analytical stage of like, nut and bolting it together and making it like, it's sort of like this practical, like, okay, it's this, and it's very intense versus like, oh my gosh, yay, excitement. And I always have a hard time telling. So is that what just happened? Is it an excitement or is it a...
Well, I'll tell you, I just took Adderall. Okay, so I'm thinking,
maybe that's what it is.
Like, somebody organized the conveyor belts at the grocery store.
Oh yeah. So the other day, so Heather has ADHD.
I have ADHD.
Received an adult diagnosis. And every once in a while you take a pretty low dose of...
It's like the lowest. Like I literally break 1 10 milligram pill into a quarter.
Yeah. So I normally never know unless Heather tells me, but the other day we were at the grocery store and you know, it's a normal thing to organize your stuff when you're putting it on the little like conveyor belt. You put the cold stuff together and the shelf stable, you know, just it's easier to bag. Everything stays organized. Heather was like Tetrising it on the conveyor belt in such a perfect way that I've never seen her do.
Precision.
And having worked at grocery stores and worked as a cashier and a bagger, I always appreciate when people do that. So I'm very conscious of that because it makes life easy. And I said, like, did you take Adderall this morning? And you did. And it was the first time in like weeks that you had. And that was why you hadn't taken it in so long. I was like, well, I don't think she didn't mention she took it. I was just noticing this one behavior and I asked and then... Yeah.
So I think that's what's happening is my point is like I think in my head I'm organizing, categorizing,
but that's good.
So maybe I might not be like giddy, but I think pieces are being stacked in my head right now.
That's a good thing though. That's the nuts and bolts of like.
And actually, before jumping onto this podcast, I was watching a video by Katie Morton, who's like the therapist, and she it was a video about like, does ADHD make you selfish? And I know a lot of what I go through with my business and my life is ADHD. I know that. And I'm still learning about it, and I'm trying to figure out, I'm still learning how it manifests and what the signs are. Is this my ADHD? Is this just me? Is this, whatever. But in that video, she was talking about like, hormones and brain chemicals that are different with people who have ADHD. And as a result, they get bored very easily. They seek out dopamine activities. Yeah, because they get, because whatever, our brains are wired differently. So whether it's a new challenge, a deadline, a new relationship, whatever, we seek those out because that's what gives us the dopamine that we're lacking. But then if it's not there, you move on to the next thing, or you're bored, right? And so, I mean, I guess I was just kind of thinking like, is that this, like, I don't know, is this whole thing just because I have ADHD? Like, I don't know.
Well, maybe. But I don't think that that's a good, or I think that's just a thing. I don't think that's a good or a bad thing.
Right.
Maybe it's just a quality of it. But if the ADHD and the medicine or whatever at this moment is helping you organize things that are going to be functional later on, then that's a good thing.
Right. I mean, I think my point is that I want, based on everything I know about not just business and the skills that I've honed and the experience I've gained, and even with ADHD, knowing how I am with it, knowing more about it, what direction can I steer towards that takes all of that into account, so that the next time I hit a rut, it's not this whole like, we need to shift the world.
Right.
It's more about, let's think of a new idea.
Yeah.
But we're staying within the boundaries.
That's where the boundaries are crucial.
So that's what I'm missing, because you have that. So even if you're like, I don't know what to make a video about, you still,
I know what I can't make a video about.
Exactly. You still have a lane, I don't want to say, you're restricted to staying in a lane, but you know what I mean? Like, there's still
there's at least a filter of, and sometimes I will have,
like, looking for the right metaphor.
I know, but sometimes I'll have an idea where I really do want to do something and it doesn't quite fit, and the creative challenge of figuring out how to make it fit.
Right. You've done that quite a bit, like either a new piece of equipment or a new technique. You're like, I want to incorporate this in the video somehow, and if it has to sit, it sits.
Yeah.
Versus like forcing it, choking it to life.
Right.
And that's what I feel like I've been doing.
Yeah. And I learned that from school because there's so many times I get interested in something. I'm like, I wish I could talk about this or do a lesson on this. And then just like finding ways to cram it into like, okay, what does my 11th grade class need to know? This thing will fit. And it makes stuff better because it adds so much variety.
And the other thing that I think is a great takeaway from, the successful channels I've been watching, yours being a huge one because I see the behind the scenes, is like a once a week consistent schedule, because then it's like, yeah, I can make 5 videos in a day, 5 videos in a week, but like I will never fall off schedule.
Right.
On the audience side, which is, I think, the biggest, a huge reason why a community never builds, because the consistency just isn't there, and if I can, take into account my ADHD, my PMDD, which is a whole separate thing that you guys don't need to know about right now, but basically I have a cycle. my mind and my brain and all this is like cyclic, and there's definitely going to be times where I don't feel like making anything.
Right. Okay. But you have to plan.
But if I can plan, if I know that, like, okay, if I feel super inspired and creative in this week, then freaking crunch out 3 videos if you have to, knowing that you're getting ahead. Yeah. And you're planning.
And then schedule them out. And then next week, if something derails,
it's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks for you, but in terms of
at least the whole thing doesn't fall apart.
Exactly.
Yeah. And what I think, recognizing another thing that has stopped me before is like, when I stop, okay, there's been plenty of times where I started and I stopped. When I stop, it's very hard to get started again.
Yes.
It's so hard for me to stand back up. And I visually see it in my head of like, I feel like I'm just like I've fallen and I have this huge backpack and I cannot find my footing to stand back up. And it's just like so hard. But I know once I stand back up, I find my balance, I could take that first step and then it just gets easier because you have momentum. And I feel like when you schedule something in advance, you never lose the momentum.
Right. Or you can lose it and get it back without, well, I guess, that means you don't lose the momentum.
You never lose the momentum because the people are still watching. They're still getting their content. The comments will still keep coming in. So like
the community can still build.
Yeah. Like creatively or from the creator standpoint, I might lose the momentum, but for sure, knowing that the audience is still there and there's still that interaction will keep it going, for sure. Because like in that Katie Morton video, she was like, put things in place that are easy dopamine things, like whether it's a music playlist or exercise or whatever, so that when you're feeling the slump, you can just turn to those things, and it's something that you can do anytime. It's something that you don't have to, it doesn't take a lot of effort. And I'm like, okay, that having a system that does that, even say you're at zero, right? Because whatever, say you're at zero, knowing, like, just seeing your satisfaction when because you've been doing this weekly consistent thing since like before the community was there.
Yeah.
This is what built the community.
That was to make, to make it sustainable for me.
And there was such a satisfaction of just like, even just looking at the queue of videos. It doesn't even have to be like, oh, people are commenting, whatever. That's great. That helps. But just seeing the like, how ahead you are.
The work is
freaking
done.
So satisfying.
It really is. And stuff happening like, I prior to being on the weekly schedule, I was getting stressed out because I was making a video every week, but I was making this week's video this week. And so it was almost like I was South Park, like the video's done the day that it goes out, and it, and that was getting stressful. And stuff like yesterday I filmed a video. Normally I would have filmed that video and then I would have spent the whole day editing and cranking it out and thumbnailing it, uploading it, and which is all a fun process, but it would have taken the entire day. I would have been exhausted at the end, and it would be done. Whereas I was like, I reached as far as I'm going to go. I'll continue editing it today. My goal is to have it finished up by tomorrow. So take 3 days on that video. It's going to be better because I keep coming back to it with fresh eyes. I'm not getting tired or overly exhausted. Yesterday, instead of staying locked away working on this thing, like we took the dogs out for a walk. We like hung out a little bit. Like it just made things better. And I know in the back of my head, like, well, this video is not going to go up until the middle of July, and we're recording this at the end of June. So if it takes an extra day or two to make it, it's not really any sweat off my back. As long as the video gets done this week, I'm good.
And I've never had that process.
Yeah.
But I've seen how it works for you.
It works.
And like you said, I think it makes the content better. And I've never done that. The only videos I've done that with are montages where it's like, okay, you can't crunch out that in a day. And I mean, just even thinking about the montages, like the video, I made a whole montage video to propose to Tom.
It's wonderful.
And the first version sucked, and if it weren't for the time that it took to air it out,
right,
like it made it better.
Right.
And I want to have that same level of excellence that I wanted to make for that video. I don't have that. It's not there. I mean, obviously I'm only going to make one proposal video for my whole life, but I want there to be like, Heather has this expectation for this video, and if it doesn't meet that standard, like not like I'm striving for perfection, but a standard. Yes. Like I want it to be this good, and I want to take the time to devote to make it that good, and not just like, okay, I'm daily vlogging and it's just, what can you make in a day? That's a different challenge. It's a different approach to it.
Well, it's very different too when you've been working on something all day and trying to get it done, and it reaches the point where it's good enough for the day. That's a very different point than being good enough for you sometimes. Like if you've been working on something all day, it's the end of the day and you're done, you're like, oh, it's good enough, it's good. You kind of get the dopamine hit of like, it's finished, I can upload, it's out, it's over. Versus, okay, it's as far as I can go today. I'm going to come back to it tomorrow. And then tomorrow you look at it and you're like, oh, this thing that I liked I'm going to get rid of that. Or this thing that I didn't think I had time to add in, now I can like add in this little graphic or this effect or this technique or whatever. And then it makes it better. And you can't do that if you're constantly just struggling to keep your head above water.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I guess the takeaway, I feel like okay.
We don't have to like have solidified, solve the problem takeaways.
But I think I have though.
Okay.
I feel like, I at least have something that I could sit and think about versus like I'm still just floating.
Good.
I feel anchored.
Good. Like
on Anchor.
Anchor.fm/enthusiasm.
But, I think the takeaway that I would tell your audience is there isn't one way to go about this. But I also think like, Well,
so you just said too, there's different approaches. Like if you're trying to daily vlog, the whole goal is different than if you're trying to build something you're excited about and sustainable over a long period of time. Neither one is better than the other. They're just entirely different. And if you try to approach something sustainable with the daily mindset, it's not going to be sustainable. And if you try to approach, sustainable, ultra high quality excellence in a daily format, you're going to burn out. It's not going to be sustainable. Exactly. So I think that is really important. And I like this idea. And it's tough sometimes as you work on something and you do hit the thing of like, well, I started, now I can go a little further, and then you see the light at the end of the tunnel and when you push yourself to finish. And you can do that sometimes and it's fine, but not having to do that is a very different perspective.
Yeah. So I don't know. How do you feel about conclusions?
I'm
or more like revelations.
Yeah, I'm excited for you. It's almost like you're reevaluating a workflow, and like you're planting your stake in the sand, and then creating a workflow around it, and that is the boundary that.
So
that
what's your take on the boundaries for the vlog channel then? Because you don't seem very satisfied with just Heather and Tom or Heather and Tom. I don't know. I'm satisfied with anything you're super excited about.
I didn't get the like, I'm so excited about this idea because I almost feel like it's such a given that it's not a boundary.
Okay, so let me tell you an example of when I was giddy excited about something. And let me tell you how it turned out.
Okay.
I came up with this idea a year ago. Exactly, because the domain expired.
Is this what I think it is? Probably.
And at the time, I was getting hooked on Instagram ads and Facebook ads. Like they just were selling me.
They worked.
They totally worked. And I was like, I struggle with insomnia. So like every morning I would wake up and it'd be like, Tom, I bought this thing because I was scrolling through Instagram when I couldn't sleep. And now I have a new deodorant that's like natural or whatever. Or I got a new water bottle for the dogs, blah, blah, blah. So I from a marketing standpoint, I was like, why is this so successful on me when I know what I'm looking at?
Right.
These products are great, but just like, do they, I was like, oh, it would be cool to do, I don't know if it's like a product review channel, but yeah, pretty much like I saw this ad on Instagram. I talk about digital marketing. Let's talk about why this ad worked on me. And the channel was supposed to be called Ads Seen On.
Yeah, like ads seen on, but ads seen on. Oh, wait. There it is. Or maybe I should have been like, there we go. Sorry.
I cannot tell you how excited I was about that idea.
I remember you
I
really
literally,
about it.
I flushed it out. I bought the domain. I bought, I got the things. I signed up for all the accounts, all the social media, everything. I was like, this is going to be a thing. I even thought about sponsorships. I thought about like how it would plan out, like how everything. I made my first video and I never published it. And I was like, this is so wrong. It's bad. I couldn't do it. I filmed the first video 3 times and I was like, I've already lost the authenticity of the first reaction. I can't do this. I thought it was good. I was so convinced and it just didn't work. So my point is that giddiness is probably not necessarily
an indicator
of long-term success.
Well, that's really important then. I think that's a good point. I
want to have the enthusiasm, but here's the thing I know about Heather and Tom. I will always be enthusiastic about
I hope so.
That's not something I need to question.
I'm not
That's something I
excited.
have to question.
Yeah. So I mean,
maybe if I'm not like visually, you know, like, oh my
well, no.
God.
What I was saying is it too amorphous? Because Heather and Tom, like, that is just our life. So is that just going like is saying this is a Heather and Tom thing the equivalent of saying it's a vlog? Okay, cool. What is that like? Does it need more stakes? Do we need to find more? Or
But I think the stakes will come when I make it through the first lens.
Gotcha.
Because, like, okay, the most recent video I uploaded was about getting our corgi puppy.
Right.
And I actually had Tom record the intro.
Oh, yeah.
I loved it. I was like, you should be holding the camera on this channel more often. Like, that was my conclusion from that.
Well, one of my favorite things tying into that is, since I do have the impulse to like, I want to just take my little camera and film like fun stuff, is sometimes we've done a few things where like, we'll go and I'll film it and I'll just give you the footage. I don't know if you like that as an editor. I don't think you do, but I like it. Because it's like, it satisfies an itch, but then, you know, like...
No, I like it.
you looked away and laughed.
No, I like it. I do.
But I mean, okay. So what does that mean?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying is like, okay, we're going to take that approach. What are the conclusions that are going to happen after making something with that approach? I don't know. Stay tuned. or subscribe to the channel if you want to see.
There you go. I'll put a link in the show notes, youtube.com/HeatherJustCreate. Great. Well, I mean, I don't think we're going to get much more.
How far did we go?
We're an hour and 6 minutes, which is good. We can keep going if there's revelations, but I feel like we're at a good, like, we're not going to find concrete conclusions, but we're going to find jumping off points.
I feel like we've reached all of the organic
Right.
thoughts, right? I mean, how do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I see your wheels turning in a different way than they were earlier. They were kind of spinning without going anywhere, and I feel like there's some traction now. There's so many metaphors in this and analogies, but it's just how we talk. But
We're teachers, babe.
Right. I feel like things are in motion to take shape. The thing I will say, which
what will you say, Tom?
I think you're already protecting yourself from, is I know that you have an all or nothing personality.
It's such a problem,
right? Because you'll say, I don't want to make a video, or I haven't made videos for a long time. 10-day tackle, and then you'll crush 10 videos in 10 days, and each one will be excellent and they're amazing.
and I will be dead for the next 6 months.
Yes. So when you go all in on something, it can drain you to a point where it isn't sustainable. Or as soon as there's a little break, the break becomes a long break. And and I think
you married me, okay?
I did, and I think that you've already addressed it by bringing up like the issue of scheduling. And once you kind of have to really work your butt off to get the catalog going. But once the catalog's there, it doesn't lose momentum, even if you like lose momentum here or there, or life happens or whatever. And I think that that's important. And I just think that the giddiness, getting excited about an idea, pushing all in, and then getting tired is something to just be aware of for the sake of sustainability. Just on the record.
Sheesh. You hear that, guy?
That was supposed to be a more of like a kind thing. I feel like you weren't being reprimanded.
I feel like I was being lectured there a little bit.
No, I just wanted to point this out. I know you know it. I just wanted to get it out there so we're clear. And just to be aware, jumping into new endeavors with eyes wide open. Here we go. Here's the sound. That's how I feel, trying to make my point there. I believe in you, and I know you can do things. And I want you to be excited about making stuff again. I don't even care what you make. I just want you to be excited about it. And that's what makes me happy.
Thanks.
Okay. Well, ultimately,
yes,
I think there were some good things gleaned here. I think it's really helpful to listen to somebody struggle with this, and somebody who's been doing it for a long time kind of work it out and work through it and come to realizations, and we'll see where they go from here. And I hope that anybody listening to this was able to glean something that is going to be helpful in your own life, your own workflow, your own creative endeavors.
I think, the takeaway too is like, if you want to do, if you want to build a brand online, it's an ongoing journey.
Right. It's never finished, and it's constantly evolving.
Yeah. And it is about the journey. That's what it's about. Like, if you like creating content, then you're going to create content. It's not, and I think there's a constant evolution that comes along with that you should be open to embracing if you want to do this.
Yes. So I'm really appreciative that you were willing to share that with everyone and like let people see behind the curtain, see the imperfections, see the struggle and the challenge, because I think that is important and not something that is often on display, because everyone likes to show the finished result and not the journey to get there. So I hope this was helpful to you. We would love your feedback. Of course, you can reach out to me at Soto and Tom on all the things. Where can people find you, Heather?
Heather Just Great on all the things.
Yay. And of course, you can always leave a voice message, anchor.fm/enthusiasm. I would love to hear your thoughts, your takeaways, any struggles,
Me too.
maybe any advice you have for Heather, any feedback on her predicament, and any personal experience, along with any other things you'd like to share. Love to include those in a future episode. Otherwise, it's been great. It's been fun. I hope you stay safe.
Bye.
Thank you so much for spending your time with us. We will see you next time.